Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ain't That Right? I'm your host, Duncan Dad. We're here live on the Coastal Sports Digital Network, SR1029thegame.com. So we are picking up on our conversation. Hopefully, we will be able to finish it today about our communication and kind of putting a little bow on it. Just to recap, we're at this point where we have framed out what it is that we want to do, like when things shifts and values and, how the values remain and your priority principles and practices stay there as your little guidepost. Now, letting these relationships sort of be seasons in our lives, not always something that we have to hang on to for an indeterminate amount of time. And then obviously the attachments, the loss, the grief, the comings and the goings. Do we want to have close, personal, intimate, permanent relationships? Of course we do. But we're speaking about these relationships when we are beginning to be vulnerable and expose ourselves and talk and open up and who we really want to align ourselves with, et cetera, et cetera. So, we've got this emotional continuity that we're trying to keep in place. We're trying to make sure that it's not just fly by the seat of your pants. Like, what did you mirror in this conversation, in this relationship? What did you reflect? What did you resist? What did you absorb? How did it change? What part of you grew? What part of you shrank? This internal self-awareness that you're constantly honing and sharpening, just like we do with our practices and principles. So what is the best way that we can be good to ourselves and to other people around us as you grow and as you go through this process, right? Because you're not just recognizing the fact that it's about you, right? This growth is about now the relationship, the communication, because every time you're communicating, every time that you interact with someone, it's some form of a relationship. Be honest, be compassionate with yourself. Make sure that you are reaffirming what's good, direction, where you want to be, what you expect from yourself, as well as the other individuals. Hey man, you're showing up for the job trying to get this done. Like there are certain expectations, how you should be, how you should act, how you should communicate, what you can do, what you can't do. Acknowledge in yourself the fears that we talked about. And I don't know if I can do that yet. I want to change, but I'm a little worried about. Be cautious of contradicting yourself, right? That's sort of like the bartering. Well, it's okay if this happens, but not that. Well, in this instance, I'm this person, and over here, I'm that type of person. I got my work job and my work attitude, and I got my home thing and my home attitude, my home relationships. Yes, that's all true. However, the consistency, the rawness of who you are should come through. Doesn't mean you put on different hats. You put on different hats. Of course you do. Honesty and honesty with yourself and speaking the truth into your daily existence and daily understanding of self and those that you're interacting with. It doesn't have to be this super harsh criticism, right? We go back to being compassionate towards ourselves. I'm not the worst at this. I need to improve in this area because I aspire to do. All right, cool. We can work with that, right? Like we talked about, normalize the not yet. Except that this readiness, this wantness to change, this wantness to communicate, this wantness for someone to reflect back to you, to take what they're hearing and or listening and responding in a way that resonates with you. It comes in these waves. There's the ebbs and the flows. Sometimes you're ready, sometimes you're not, but it's okay. Right? You have to be content in the readiness of the conversation internally, externally. spiritually, emotionally, intimately. You don't have to force actions. You don't have to force insight. We all remember, go over to the timeout corner and sit down and think about this. Believe me, we all know what we did. Everyone has those moments throughout their day. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have sent that text. Maybe that emoji was too much. Maybe I should have not cracked the joke. Wrong place, wrong time. Okay. But you don't have to smack it and throw it in someone's face. You don't have to compel someone to do something that they're not ready for. Right? Because then what happens? Everybody can go to their job, their place of employment, everyone can go to their spiritual centers, they can go into their own personal relationships, they can go into their families. And if someone is not ready to do something, then it is the most difficult and tedious and non-fulfilling action. Will the task get done? Sure, it's going to get done. But along the way, you're going to every little single bit of agita, every little single bit of complaining and griping, and then that's going to turn on you, etc., etc., etc. So you've got to give people the room, even in these basic relationships, these basic communication opportunities. Give them the room to process. Don't rush them and don't expect them. Now, granted, Murphy button, right? People got deadlines at work. There's things that have to be met. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about effectively communicating openly, honestly. You're hearing, you're learning, you're growing, it's reflecting, you're seeing your faults, you're seeing your fears, you're seeing your own contradictions. You're trying to be a better version of yourself. You're relying on your practices and principles. But the other person who's listening, hearing, standing there, again, go back to your house. Everyone goes at their own pace. Now, are there expectations of a particular pace and drive when you go into a particular environment or arena? Of course. Hey, everyone's practicing here. I expect everybody to be conditioned. We're going to get on the field and we're going to go no huddle offense. Let's go. Better match that pace. Physically, you might be able to do it. Through your actions, you might be able to do it. Mentally, though, emotionally, maybe not. Oh man, you're hitting everything right. You just look so disconnected. Why? Well, I'm trying to process this. I'm still trying to catch up in myself. When you take that next step into your own development, where you're accepting that the readiness will come in waves, and you'll know when to engage, when to take a next step, when to open up the deepest, darkest secrets in the Pandora's box of conversation, whatever it is. You need to remain curious with yourself and not so like controlling, right? You're like, in you, why did you react this way? Instead of just passing it off and labeling it like, well, that's just how I am and that's how I react. I don't deal with that. It's great, man. You got principles, you got convictions, stand on them. But probably a good idea to check back in and see if it still holds the same weight as when it was first implemented. Has your reaction gone from being defensive to just avoidance? Or has your reaction just been like, I just got to over-explain every freaking thing right now because then people drop it or people won't ask me questions? Am I still trying to protect something, or am I trying to invite someone so I can just dump? Some people you want to do that with, other people you don't, right? That's knowing and training and honing yourself, because then when you're put in these situations that don't tick these boxes, then you begin to gauge the type of communication style and relationship that you are planting the seed for. How much attention you're really going to give this, how much attention you want to back from this, how much work do you want to put into this. Because once you start a conversation, no matter what area of life it's in, there's a process, there's work, there's understanding, there's honesty, there's fears, there's expectations. But you got to kind of be aware of who you are and where you are at. Instead of walking into particular situations and using all of your experiences, which is fine, right? That gives us our intuition. And you just assume this is what was going on. This is what they were going to say. This is how they were going to react. Maybe they've gone through this process. So you're now beginning to ask these open-ended questions where you let them fill in. Now you walk in and you tell someone, hey, tell me a story about the big red truck around the corner. Well, right there, in that simplest little form, you said, well, there's a big red truck and it's around the corner. So I'm going to give you back exactly what you've asked of me. Instead of, hey, have you ever noticed blah, blah, blah? Oh, yeah, the other day. Right? And you're allowing this person to move from that superficial automated response that we get so many times in our daily lives. Why do you say hi to people? And they're like, oh, hi, how you doing? You walk all over when you travel, and everyone wants to, stick with the local customs. Everyone says buongiorno, bonjour, guten tag, whatever it is. And is there a bit of manners and politeness? Sure. But the meaning behind it, the tradition behind it, it's rooted in something more, because it's an opening invitation, an acknowledgement. It's not something you just blow off. And something that we've lost a lot here in Western Civ. Just like, hey, hi, how you doing? You really don't care how they're doing. It's just, I'm acknowledging you're here, I'm here, great, cool. You do your thing, I'm doing my thing, high five, woo. You don't really care what they've done, where they've been, who they're with, what they had for breakfast, type of coffee. It just gets you to that next thing, gets you to that next thing, gets you to the next thing. And one of the biggest skills that individuals are now looking for in the world are those interpersonal skills, where it's not just a superficial transaction, because I can get that from an automated system. Hello, how are you feeling today? Press 1 for well, press 2 for not so well. 2, okay, comes back down. You're not well. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're boom, 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 boom. But you genuinely see someone. Now, this doesn't mean you spend your entire day having conversations with unknown individuals. That'd be cool. And you monopolize a lot of your time. But it means that when you do say that to someone that you genuinely care for and interact with and have some sort of a standing bit of rapport, you should have the expectation that they may turn around and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that you asked me how I was doing, because it has just been X, Y, and Z. It's been amazing. It's been wonderful. I've really been struggling. Da 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 da. Like, we're building this ritual of repairing our communication and relationships. Right? We're not falling into old patterns. We're not apologizing for. You ever meet someone like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, what are you sorry for? You were just passing along. I used to say that to people all the time when you pass in the store. Somebody, comes by, gets a little too close for comfort. Oh, I'm sorry. You have nothing to be sorry. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't offend me. You didn't hurt me. We've got no grudge against one another. Oh, my fault. Oh, my bad. Oh, What's your fault? What's your bad? What? that we crossed each other's space. You're not talking about someone getting up in your face and, jawing, etc. It's just casual, but we're so geared and so wired in our communication to be defensive of our actions or offensive to justify. Things are going to happen, good and bad. This growth that you then have for yourself, when all these instances start to come into your world, in your life, your job, changing scenery, you relocate, you move on, there's relationships, there's death, there's birth. Like, this idea of you growing as an individual starts to get not admired by the people around you, but you begin to reflect and attract that in your life. You think of all the models where you have the very domineering boss. Do it this way, my way, highway, blah, 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 blah. And could it be a well-oiled machine? Sure, it could. Is there one line of communication? Yeah. Everything rolls downhill? Yeah. You may be sharpening one particular aspect of what it is that you were doing, but are you growing? Are you really expanding, or are you just filling a particular space? Right? Hey, we have a deadline for so and so and so. Project's very important. Here's what's helped me. Maybe you could share what's helped you with it, and we can work through this. Hey, I'm going through a lot of stuff right now, blah, 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 blah. Instead of it being this one-sided, give me exactly what I want, don't be afraid to maybe get your answer elsewhere. Now, what if you feel that you have done everything spot on and you are, stepping out of your little cocoon, re-emerging, and you feel you've checked all the boxes. You've done all the meditations. You've been open to communication. You are curious. You're not self-critical. You're compassionate. You're not controlling. You are present in conversations. You're not just there for performance. And other people don't see it, or they don't respond to it, even though they have been with you side by side this entire time. You ever been around the closest group of friends and partners and work colleagues, and you just have that one or two individuals who just, like, they're always evolving. There's always something growing or changing or moving, and you're along for that ride, and you're seeing this happen right in front of you, and the feeling of, like, well, I showed up, I tried, and I stayed, and I went through this, and so am I still not enough? I'm not good enough? Did I not do enough? Did I do too much? Did I do too little? Growth without recognition, effort, and a shared history between people, places, and things doesn't necessarily mean that all the parties involved are going to the same place, healing at the same time, evolving at the same time. And it's not a sign that you failed in any way, because like you're trying to do what's good, right? You're trying to do what's right. You're trying to be the best version of yourself, like we beat to death. And you're like, hey man, come on, let's go, come on, let's go. And like, well, I'm doing my job, showing up, punching the clock, feeding the kids, taking the trash out, like boom, 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 boom. Like, hey, I'm great, I'm on board. And you're like, but like, are you? Like, it's not where like we should be at this point. Like, you should be right there with me, knowing this product inside and out, getting ready to, hit that board meeting. You should know this playbook inside and out. Did all the extra prep work, blah, 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 blah. Did all the family trips, did all the counseling, did all the travel, okay, so what's up? I made a change. Good, look at me. Hey, you're with everything. Yeah, great, you supported me, but like, you kind of, what's going on over here? I mean, we're in this together, right? These are your close personal friends, colleagues, intimate partners, leaders of spirituality. You're like, hey, you just like, I'm holding up my end of the bargain. What's going on? You can't control as much as you want and as good as you are and as open and honest, and even in the bad times. You can't control that mirror. You can only offer the truth of yourself. This is me. This is my truth. Shout out to Paul Pierce, the truth. You can offer your care. You can offer the ways that maybe have helped you kind of grow, but you can't control how other people see it and or use it or put it into practice. Sometimes people are just too defeated. They're too defensive. They're too wounded. They have a lot of stuff they need to work through. They never even assumed they had to work through. But that doesn't mean they can't be productive individuals. That's the paradox, right? That's why the idea of communication and relationship and mental health is such a big thing. Because we are caught in that cycle sometimes, like the hamster on the wheel. Going. Maybe they are with you, around you, working next to you. But they've got their own story, man. They got their own stuff going on. That's why it goes back into this openness communication in the beginning, where you actually ask these heartfelt, compassionate questions so you grow, they grow, and what you're trying to foster grows. Are there different varying levels? Of course there are. Of course there are. But just because they don't see it in you, because you're just doing your thing and everything looks good, hey, awesome. But they're not seeing these really in-depth changes that maybe you've gone through or that you're allowing yourself to do. Doesn't mean that you didn't do it. Doesn't mean that you're invisible. It just means at this particular moment, they've kind of got like that little, condensation on the mirror, on their lens, a little foggy. I can make out the picture. I can see the object. Just, it's like, I'm not seeing all the angles yet. Okay, that's fine. Just because you do something with someone, some organization, some team, some band of brothers, there are touch points and touchstones and little things that you can go back to and say, hey, here's the trophy. But just because you went through this doesn't mean that the experience was the same. Right? And that's crazy. Well, I mean, you're right there next to me. When this happened, it was great, blah, blah, blah. Think about the most delicious piece of, dessert or food you've ever had. You want to share it with the people that are most precious and close to you. You sit down, take a bite, they sit down, take a bite. Oh, it's really good, it's amazing, blah, 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 blah. They start going over here, thinking about all this. And you're over here thinking about all that. Shared experiences don't equate to a shared understanding, which is why the communication component, which is the gist of our entire conversation is essential, because you can only be as open and honest and truthful with yourself and other people if you do all those things, acknowledge all those things, share all those things, and still when you present it, you're not going to get the same shared understanding. You ask everyone who loves sports, so passionate about baseball. Baseball, I love baseball, blah, blah, blah. Well, why do you love it? Well, it does this. What about you? Oh, it does that. Oh, I remember. Right, so there's a shared passion, there's a shared venture, there's a shared direction. We all enjoy it. All gonna hang out. All gonna have a good time. All gonna regale and talk about it. But the understanding for everyone, it's not the same. Which is why when you find someone, some organization, some project, some partner that has, 85% of what you got going on, and you make these connections, and you have a shared, with an asterisk, understanding or appreciation for, yeah, that's stuff where you're open, more honest, more fearful, more scared, more vulnerable. Why? Because there's an investment there. Like you've discovered that it's there for you. And even though I went through all of this, and there's bits and pieces, now there's there's a Lunchable, right? There's a meal now. There's something worth keep going back to. So if you continue to measure all of your conversation and relationships, your interactions, by other people's responses, then you're constantly going to be chasing and looking for that affirmation. You're going to look for the likes, look for the little hearts, look for the thumbs up. More. Yes. And then when you get that no, it's so defeating. Like, oh my God, this is horrible. How did that happen? You can spin in a spiral and you rethink your entire life. But if you're acting in alignment of who you want to be, where you want to go, who you want to be with, and you're open and honest and truthful about it, then that's really the only, scorecard that you have to worry about. When you total all of those things up, all the affirmation, all the adulation, all the acknowledgement, it's fantastic. But instead of it being the primary goal, so to say, it's just a little bit of reaffirmation and reaffirming of what you're doing. Do you need it? No, not really. Is it good to have it? Sure it is. We all like that. Are you gonna not be the same person if you don't have it? Some people, yeah. So think about that. If you're doing something, you're happy, you're content, you're open, you're honest, you're enjoying it. Then it's like, hey man, a million likes. Awesome, cool. Still gonna keep doing this. Still gonna talk to that person. Still gonna show up. Still gonna be me because I'm open and honest. So knowing all of that, knowing all of our conversation, all of our relationships, all of our openness, all of our vulnerability, blah, 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 everything ad nauseum that we talked about over the last 2 weeks. How do you tell yourself, I'm going to commit to this? And like the great St. Augustine would say, let go. Right? He was like, oh, let go and let God. But how do you let go and just trust that everything is going to work out? Right? Letting go and just like, hey, here we go. The trusting part of will it all work out is about choosing a place of honesty and truth and peace over it's got to be controlled 24/7. I'm doing the right thing. I like my priority practice and principles. I like who I'm engaged with, talking to, working with, etc. Who I surround myself with. I want to keep being the best version of myself. I have faith that because everyone is doing their part and I'm doing my part, this will not go to a place of uncertainty. It's a practice. It's active. It's not just a one-time decision. It'd be like going to a lake and finding one particular spot in the lake and taking one particular bit of bait in that same spot. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to work. You have to be able to be active, right? We talk about active contentment, active peace, active happiness. If you sit around and do nothing, you'll yield nothing, right? An object in motion, all these laws of physics. Letting go of something or people or places or vices or habits or things that just aren't helping you be a better person. It's not giving up, and it's not pretending that you don't care about them and you don't care about yourself, so screw it. It's not ignoring the consequences, like cold turkey, not drinking, not doing this anymore, ha ha ha. Well, guess what, you still got to course correct for some of that stuff. That relationship was crappy and blah blah blah, so hey, see you later. You're not abandoning any responsibilities that have come along with that. It's realizing that you can control what you control and you can't control what you cannot control, but you still show up with good intentions, good care, honesty, integrity, action. The idea of separating now from the idea of people, places, things, it's daunting, right? So just like we talked about in our own fears and our own conversations, name it. Hey, I can't control what this person does, and I care for them, and I love them. And this guy's great at his job, but now we've identified it. I know I can only control my efforts and my boundaries and my values and my presence and the way that I show up and the way that I am and the way that I control my emotions and the way that I conduct my behavior and the way I handle myself. But I can't do that for someone else. But how I respond to that, absolutely. I'm responding to their behavior, but with what? What kind of effort am I going to give it? What kind of boundary am I going to limit? What kind of value do I place in what is being said or not said or going on? You're trying to get back to where you are aligning your true self with all these priority practices and principles so that when you open and communicate whatever it is in any capacity, you're an authentic representation of yourself that at the same time is open to growth and compassion and seeing things differently and hearing things. This doesn't mean that you change your principles and convictions. You may eventually. It just means that you're open to the idea, to the conversation. It relieves pressure. It Doesn't mean that you don't care. Doesn't mean that you're anything can happen. It's okay. Do whatever. Ha ha ha. No. But it means that when someone says the sky is orange and purple, whatever, you're not going to flip out. Okay, cool. Tell me why you feel that way. Explain this to me. And obviously, this is a very simple example. But just accepting the fact that it may or may not work out the way that you want, and that's okay. Because whatever does come along, I know who I am. I know who I want to be around. I know how to communicate. I know how to be open. I know how to be compassionate with myself and course correct some of my own insecurities, fears, and vulnerabilities. And I'm going to show up and do it with resilience. I'm going to show up and do it with grace. I'm going to show up and do it with action. And I'm going to show up and have the support of those individuals who are experiencing this with me, even though they have their own separate understanding of it. Why? Because this, that, them, thee, her, we, she is valuable. It's a radical form of courage, internal courage. It's giving yourself the permission to be your total whole truth, knowing that it's constantly growing and constantly evolving and constantly becoming a better version of who you are. You're going to be safe in the unknown because you communicate effectively with yourself and with other people in whatever capacity it is. You're going to trust this process, not the Sixers, not that process, but you're going to trust this process that as long as I'm doing my thing, as long as these good people that I'm keeping in my life are showing up and doing their thing, and everyone is growing and they're doing it at their own speed, it's going to lead to bigger, brighter, and better things and wholesome things and real things and truthful things. It might not always be happy, might always be sunshine and rainbows. It's never like that. But that's why we're open. That's why we're communicating. That's why we're talking. That's why we're acknowledging. We do this constantly, day in and day out. But what we caution ourselves on is that the autonomous reactions that we have lessen ourselves. And people are like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. But when you don't hone these skills and you don't practice and you don't acknowledge, you don't use it, you lose it. The mind, the heart, the body, the soul, like everything. Don't use it, you lose it. Don't use it, you lose it. It's there. And it's not thinking that, I don't know, it's like, it's saying, it's like, maybe it's not about everything working out the way that you planned it to be, right? Maybe it's about you becoming someone, the best version of yourself, who can meet and take on anything that comes your way. You face with clarity, courage, compassion, optimism. You have a better understanding of who you are, how you interact, where you want to be, where you want to go, what you want to do. So communicate with yourself, communicate with other people, communicate with your boss, communicate with your partner, communicate with your spiritual deity, communicating with your internal soul. Listen, be real, be open, be honest. People say that crap all the time, but seriously, be honest. The things that have value will come to the surface and they will prevail. They will persevere. Because if it has value, it has worth, and it's worth fighting for, then it's worth being open, honest, and raw about what it is to you. So I hope that everyone's conversation, everyone's communication, everyone's interactions go just a little bit deeper. And if anything, maybe act as a little more reminder to ourselves to just be a little more authentic to the person inside, so that maybe it just makes you a little bit better. All right, we're going to finish there with our communication conversation. You feel free to leave any questions, comments inside of the chat box or on the network pages. Be sure to check out everyone else on the network, sr1029thegame.com, Coastal Sports Digital Network. I am the Dunkin' Dad. I will be back next week. We have big football games coming up this weekend. Down to the wire, man. So schedule makers loving it. All right, everyone. Take care.